much let individuals make their presentation without comment and respect the opinions of others. And we feel that if it's a situation where it gets out of hand and we cannot respect the opinions of others, then we'll just consider a motion to adjourn. So we'll proceed first with Attorney Pruitt.
Chairman and trustees, we're here because there was a local act passed through the legislature concerning the distribution of proceeds of a hazardous waste tax. In other words, Chemical Waste Management as a hazardous waste company disposes of hazardous waste, and there is a charge placed against them in the form of a tax. And that tax is collected and paid to the Sumter County Commission. The Commission, working with the legislature, ended up with a local act and then a subsequent amendment to that local act. The first act provided a specific amount of funds or a percentage of the ad valorem tax to numerous entities within Sumter County. And those entities got used to receiving that money. And when the amendment to that act was made, some of those entities, either nonprofit organizations or governmental organizations, had their funds reduced. So in order to provide equity, there was included in the amended act a trust which would receive 5% of the net proceeds of the hazardous waste tax, less those allocations which come off the top. And it was 5% of the net amount. So there were stipulations placed on how the trust would perform. The trust is an absolutely independent body. No one controls what y'all do. Y'all make the decision, and when you make that decision, it will be carried out by the county commission. And that's why everybody is here now, because they want to present their side of what it is. I was presented a status report and a copy of each of those local acts. And in essence, the Hill Hospital, which is operated by the York Healthcare Authority, which is a public body and eligible to receive monies, and which receive monies off the top as well as a percentage, reported that they owe $468,729.17 to a number of doctors, and listed the doctors. It stated that M-Care, which is a supply of doctors, is threatening to remove their doctors from the hospital if they don't receive $15,000 per week. The York Authority reports that it takes nearly $500,000 per month to operate the hospital, and that they currently only bring in $300,000 per month, which means that they're losing approximately $200,000 a month, or $2,400,000 every 12-month period. In addition, in 2017, they reported they are behind almost $250,000 to the Internal Revenue Service in FICA taxes, which is the withholding of Social Security and other deductions. And then they have another problem in that every 2 weeks, Medicare, through a check write program, provides a draft or an automatic deposit to the, and I'm not sure whether it's a Hill Hospital account or whether it's the York Hospital Authority account. And when claims are submitted by the hospital to get their Medicaid funds, they must have at least 32% of the money requested in the bank before the check is distributed. Which means if they don't have it, then they won't receive funds electronically, and as it will be canceled by Medicaid, and the hospital cannot remain open. Currently, on money coming off of the top of the total tax received, Hill Hospital is paid $4,675. And in addition, they get 1% of the net proceeds in the percentages amount. The trust fund gets 5% to be administered by the three of y'all as an independent body. In the provision, there are two provisions that affect what this request is about. One is in section C1, which states all recipients of funds pursuant to this section must be nonprofit or governmental entity, and it is a governmental entity, and must provide an annual financial report to the chair of the Sumter County Commission and the Sumter County Legislative Delegation. The delegation may also adopt and require the application of additional financial assurances of an entity, including the requirements of periodic audits of the entities. The only additional funds that the trust can distribute is subject to this stipulation and subject to a provision which says that unless there is a reduction of 50% or more of the amount previously received under the original act, they're not eligible. I've been asked if this, in my opinion, is a request which this board can legally fund. And in my opinion, it is not. It is not because there has been no continuous annual financial report to the Sumter County Commission. I'm sure of that fact. I do not know about the delegation. And I don't think there's a reduction of 50%. But I'm interpreting the law as I read it. Sometimes I don't agree, sometimes I do agree, but I'm obligated to tell you what my opinion is as a lawyer. But to me, the most important thing is, in this instance, is the protection of the trustees. And one good remedy is available to you, and that remedy is for the county commission to authorize me to prepare a resolution to be submitted to the Attorney General of Alabama. And if the Attorney General of Alabama rules that it is a legal funding, then you are protected by law individually. And I strongly recommend, because of the potential of liability, that you all request the county commission to get an Attorney General's opinions so that you can know whether you can act legally and individually be protected.
So it's a situation where we can't, as a committee, ask for an opinion?
No, it has to come through the county commission.
Okay, I think that we would like to ask the commission to ask for an opinion, with us stating some of the facts that we're concerned with and the ones that you're concerned with.
If the facts you're concerned with, I will prepare a resolution for submission to the commission
on Monday,
and try to get it done tomorrow or the next day.
Okay, so I have a motion for that we ask Attorney Pruitt to
Chairman,
submit.
will you go to that? Will you from the rest of the audience?
We're gonna do this, but we're gonna come back and we're gonna do this also. We're gonna take this action, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna hear from you all, because we're not saying what we're not gonna do. We just
the opinion that we received from the Attorney General office a couple of years ago, it specifies that you all do have the authority to make this decision to distribute those funds. We have the legislative delegation, we spoke with Senator Singleton, Representative Campbell, and Representative Howard, and the Sumter County Commission unanimously requested that this appropriation be granted. Of course, it is y'all's decision, but this opinion that we received a couple of years ago specifies all that you are at your discretion can make the decision to distribute.
I think my concern is, and I've talked to someone, I won't say higher than Attorney Pruitt, but my concern is, but my concern is that although I think the money that are in trust right now, I mean, I know I've read the opinion, but I think there's a lot of gray area there. And I think the money that are held in trust, when you really look at it as a whole, what is occurring at Hill is in no way associated with the flow of the waste tag. I mean, all the money that come in, your money is given off the top. I mean, even if there's a shortage, you get your money off the top, and then we hold it over until the next month and then make it good. And as far as what the legislative delegation states, if we make a wrong decision here and we pay out $400,000, it's not going to come back on that delegation, and it's not going to come back on the commission. It's going to come back on the three of us. And as you know, I always say I love myself some Lucinda. So we're going to protect ourselves. We're going to ask for this opinion, and then we're going to in turn hear what you have to say. And if it come back positive and we decide that we're going to do something, it'll be taken care of. But we're trying to protect ourselves. You're trying to protect Hill Hospital. We're trying to protect the three of us.
No, I would love to see you all protected as well. From reading this opinion, it covers everything that we've asked for already. This Attorney General's opinion that was received January 10th, 2014.
Not in my opinion.
Yeah. And not in my opinion, and not in someone else that I made inquiry of. They said there's enough gray area there that there's some clarification needed.
Well, gray area means that you have wiggle room to work.
But it's enough wiggle room for someone to say no. And the three of us, and we are trustees as of today's date. Of course, we don't know what will happen tomorrow. But as of today's date, I mean, we haven't taken a vote on it. But that's our feel.
The Attorney General's opinion from 2014?
Yeah, we read it because we had to have, they have read the opinion because we used the opinion. We paid out monies in 2014, we paid out $1 million, and then we came back $1.1 million, and then in 2016, we came back and we paid out $230,000. All of that money was paid out as a result of that opinion. That's why we obtained that opinion before we made that distribution. And this is about protecting, again, the trustees. And I know the commission made passed the resolution. I know you said that you had, and I don't doubt that they didn't tell you, Howard, Singleton, and McCampbell. But they're lying. I mean, they're not signing anything. I mean, they're out saying what you want to hear. But, I think it's a situation.
They felt that this would be an emergency that would constitute receiving funds from the trust fund. And that's what they say is because they can't think of much more of a reason because, as you know, rural hospitals are struggling all over the United States. And Hill Hospital. I
understand that. I understand what you're saying. But just like it's an attorney opinion, the Attorney General's opinion, it's going to be the trustee's opinion if we vote to ask for an opinion from the AG. But now we're going to hear you out and what you have to say, and we'll make a decision on that. And if that decision come back pay it, we're going to pay you. If we decide that's what we're going to do. But, just like you said at the board meeting, it was a recommendation of the commission, it was a recommendation of the delegation, but the decision that was made by the trustees. And as of right now, we are the trustees.
Correct. Understood.
So, are you all interested in letting Attorney Pruitt ask the commission obtaining?
I think that's the best way to go.
So you have that in the form of a motion?
I move that the Trust Fund Committee asked Attorney Pruitt to get an opinion, Attorney General's opinion on whether we should.
And we would like to state the fact. Is there a second? Yes. Okay, all in favor, let me show. Let me see if I raise the hand. Okay, it passed unanimously.
I'll work on that tomorrow, but I need to get with you so you can tell me the facts.
Okay, we'll give you the statement. We'll give you the fact that we're concerned with.
Okay.
Okay, the next, now what we're going to do, we want Hill Hospital to come forward because if we're going to try to get that information off and get that opinion back as quick as we can. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do, we're going to, representative from Hill Hospital that want to make presentation, this is the format that we're going to use. We'll let Hill Hospital come first, make their presentation. Any other individuals here supporting Hill Hospital, we'll let them come forward and make a presentation. And then we'll let others come. And we're time-wise, we'll see, what happens. We'll see how many people want to speak, the ones that have information to pass out. If you can give the trustees a copy, the attorney a copy, the press a copy. And we'll just see how much. We don't want to be here, I would say, after 7 to 7:30, but we will if we have to. So, Ms. Wilson, will you come forward, please?
Good afternoon, good afternoon.
And Ms. Wilson, the trustees have a copy of a 2-page statement that you gave. If you want to address that in any form, feel free to.
I think you just biased it a little bit, but I'll make sure that
Okay, or if you have something else that you want to give us, that's fine.
I will do that.
Okay.
I want to say hello to everyone. My name is Loretta Wilson. I am the administrator of Hill Hospital. I've been there a little over 3 years, and it's been an interesting position, but I wouldn't trade it for nothing in the world, primarily because I love people. And today we expressed our concern because we're concerned about people. I've been in healthcare for over 30 years, and in several different facets of healthcare, and there's always been a struggle. In every community, there's always been a struggle to maintain healthcare. Hill Hospital is just one, but no exception. I say to this committee today, as you all know, we're financially struggling to pay vendors, to pay doctors, to pay staff. And this has been a struggle that's been there even before I came. But today we stand and we ask for funding to continue providing services. There are 2 vendors that we see that is totally vital to us being able to continue at this point. The Alabama Department of Public Health regulates or mandates that any hospital, PPS hospital or even a critical access hospital, if you're going to have an emergency room, you have to have 24-hour coverage. And with that 24-hour coverage, that means you have to have a doctor who has license for Alabama to provide those services. Right now, and some of the information that we presented, we owe the doctors. And I can go on record by saying that we've also found favor in some of the doctors' eyes because they have provided services with us having any means to pay. And so for that, we are continually, we're grateful. But we do owe them in excess of $460,000, some dating all the way back to 2016. But however, we've been able to sustain, and the doctors are still committed to providing services. Now, the request to pay doctors is just simply to say that we need you to continue. Some providers, we have contracted doctors, and we have contracted provider groups, which are locum tenens. Some of the locum tenens are not as favorable of us right now because of our inability to pay, and they request their funding up front sometimes, or they request you pay your past balance in order for them to continue to provide services. Some of these providers, like M-Care, covers in excess of 15, maybe 20 shifts at any given time. And if you are not aware, I want to make you aware that you put your hospital at risk if you have to go on diversion because of no physician coverage. And we at Hill don't want to do that. It would be devastating if something happened tragically in the community and there is no provider at Hill Hospital. So one of the requests that we are making today is that we be funded or given some assistance to bring our doctors to a point. We know that we can't or won't be able to, and if we could, we'd be happy, get everything that is owed. But we will submit a document that is greater, that is updated a little bit more, providing more numbers, accurate numbers on what we do owe the doctors, and hopefully this committee will be considerate of that request. Another vital entity is the IRS. The IRS, as you know, they mandate payment and payment on time. I would like to say that Hill Hospital has done a pretty good job in making sure that we stay current with our taxes, but there are some things that happened in just late December 2016 that caused us to get a little behind. Until then, we were basically current with our taxes. As you know, the IRS and any other entity that has access to your bank account can levy your account. And so we don't want that to happen. And so we are asking also, if funding is granted, that we will be able to bring the IRS current, we owe nearly $250,000, a little bit more at this particular time. I want to say, and I know the question has been asked, if we continue to give you funding, then what are you going to do to make sure that you sustain? And you know, I would like to say that we're going to do A, B, C, E, F, G, and that's staying. But healthcare changes every day. Federal regulations change every day. Reimbursement processes change every day. I just learned today that CMS, which is the Center for Medicare and Medicaid, is determining now what they call a hospital. And so when they do the survey of your hospital, if it appears that you don't average at least 2 patients in your hospital a day, they would deem you not a hospital. So that also puts you at risk of not having CMS reimbursement. So I can stand here and say that in May of 2017, Straightwater, a nationally known company for assisting hospitals in coming up and really sustaining, visited Hill Hospital and did a 2.5-day assessment of Hill Hospital and found that the hospital is viable and can sustain itself if we do things like swing bed, 340B pharmacy program, explore specialty services, provide extended clinical services, increase acute patient care, revisit your charge master. These are things that we knew, but it takes money to do some of these things. Other things that we identified before Straightwater came is that we're going ahead and certifying our detox facility. As you know, Hill Hospital, 90% of our patient load includes detox patients. Well, you don't want your facility to operate totally off detox, because that changes as well. So, but we are going forward, and because I always believe what's working, make it effective. So we are certifying, going through the process of certifying our detox program. Because the state of Alabama is really seeking for detox beds, they have also signed a contract with us to provide those indigent detox patients with beds. So hopefully in October or early November, detox patients will now come to Hill Hospital through a contract process with the Alabama Mental Health Association. We are also looking at some other management and sales of our home health. We're looking at seeking someone who can come in a company and manage the ER and hopefully take that out. We're monitoring overtime, our supply usage. We're even now offering affordable meals to our staff in the community for lunch and breakfast. We're doing those things that we feel that are necessary to keep our facility open. But we do need some immediate assistance at this particular time. So I hope that you all would, after you find out if this is something that you can do, revisit us and let us know if this is something that you can truly do. We pray that you will consider us. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I got a couple of questions when you were talking. You're asking for $400,000.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we have a list here with the total of 468 that you owe the providers, and you said that you were going to update that list. Is it going to be less or more?
No, that's going to be the same.
It's going to be the same.
Yeah.
Well, if you owe them 468, we give you $400,000. The Internal Revenue Service is owed $250,000, so you're going to net $150,000 to operate on, I guess, for operating costs. How are you going to apply that money?
Okay, we're asking for $450,000.
I think that you all asked for $400,000. That's what was in the commission resolution, $400,000. And you're saying the $250 for the Internal Revenue Service. So that's going to leave what, $150? So.
Well, I know that was a request. Now let me say this: if we need to up it to include that, then we would. We were asking for an amount that we thought would be feasible.
But how? But how is this $400,000 going to help you with the item that you just identified? It's like you're still going to be in serious financial trouble.
We are going to be in financial trouble, but what we have done is talk with the IRS and given them an amount that we can come as current as we possibly can.
And what is that amount?
$250,000.
$250. So you're going to have $150 left.
And also, the doctors are not asking for all of that there. We're just giving you a view of what we owe the doctors. We are still paying them. We're still paying the doctors. Some of them we pay on a weekly basis, and some we pay on a monthly basis. That's just to tell you how much we owe the doctors, and hopefully from what we have left, we can still satisfy them so they can continue. So, yeah, I understand that that's not enough. We wish that we could get more, but we're in communication with the IRS and the doctors, letting them know that we're trying to find some financial resolve. It won't solve the entire problem.
That's one. I can't speak for the other trustees, but that's one of my concerns, is that we'll give you $400,000. Let's just say we give you $400,000. That is not going to really help you at all. That is not going to. You're still going to be in such financial shape that you won't be able to continue to operate.
I agree. And if we could get more, we would ask for more. I mean, we want more.
But you're agreeing with me for the wrong thing now.
No, but you know. I hear what you're saying.
Am I correct that
Yeah.
we will still be operating, generating revenue to continue to pay? So that won't be the only money that Hill Hospital will be generating and using to pay the bills that we have. Right now, we do go in the hole on a monthly basis as far as not having the revenue to cover the expenses that we have coming in. So that's why we're asking for a lifeline from the trustee board.
Okay.
And I'll say that, one of the things that I have always had a passion for is health care. And I do thank you all for taking time to your schedules to come in and listen to our request. But just a little, just a little bit of history.
Ms. Armstead, could we ask a question of Ms. Wilson before she finishes?
That's up to the trustee board.
Maybe.
What question did she ask?
She asked if she could answer me a question if that was okay.
Before she finished.
We'll just let them finish before we have the public have input on it.
So just a little bit of history. The city of New York passed a 1% sales tax back 20 plus years ago to support the operations of Hill Hospital. Ever since that tax has been levied by the city of New York, it's been used to pay off the bond issue that's been in place for that period of time. So that's not revenue that the Hill Hospital could actually use. So the only other source of revenue coming in to Hill Hospital outside is from the chemical waste management tax, which Attorney Pruitt expressed was about $4,100 per month, and an appropriation that the county commission guaranteed that $4,000 in case waste management wasn't able to do so. There's no other entity in Sumter County that contributes to health care in Sumter County which comes through Hill Hospital. Never asked, well, we've asked before, it hadn't been gotten. But that entity, that hospital provides health care for all of the people in Sumter County. And fortunately, unfortunately, if you look at it, most of us in this room can go other places to get health care. That hospital is there for mostly the underprivileged who cannot travel outside. And I understand your request. I understand the Attorney General's request. I have a different opinion from reading it. I'm not an attorney, so I'll use Attorney Pruitt. But my understanding of it was that it gives you that authority to do so. But it bothers me when we as a county can't come together after Hill Hospital has come and supported the 1% sales tax to build a brand new hospital. We're willing to give that COE and transfer it over to the new county hospital. That's what we've been working for. We thought that process would work a whole lot faster than what it is now. We thought we'd have the critical access designation. We thought everything would be selling. We'd be amended with the Sumter County Health Care Authority and the York Health Care Authority would be shaking hands and handing off whatever. But that process is slow. And in order for us to keep and maintain health care here in Sumter County, it is vital that Hill Hospital remains open. And I don't know what y'all's thoughts are, whether you ever visited or used Hill Hospital, but there are many people that do. We have over 400 patients that come through the emergency room on a monthly basis. Nearly 400 people. That's every month. So those 400 people have to go somewhere if we don't have that emergency room. Ambulance services will go sky high because we don't have to supplement some more. We already pay $13,000 per month for ambulance services, just to subsidize. So when it gets a little bit frustrating, not at this board, of course, but when we as a county cannot come together and pitch in over all of these years, we've seen Hill Hospital struggling for many years. We've seen it. Everybody's seen it. We've asked help. Thank the county commission again. Thankful to the state legislative delegation, who all came unanimously to ask you all to provide this request. Attorney Pruitt mentioned that Hill Hospital is losing about $200,000 per month. $200,000 per month. I think that is part of the interest accrued by the IRS and everything else included in that. So it's not that it's a blanket $200,000 per month that you go in the hole every month.
You still have to take into consideration that we don't get we don't get reimbursement for all the services that we provide as well. Plus, we see a large number of uninsured population.
Correct. Because our major client base is Medicare patients. Medicare, that's one of the reasons why we wanted to get the critical access designation, because we get reimbursed 101% as opposed to 50%, 45% in some cases from acute care hospital. So we are in favor. We are working with the county health care board, RUSH, trying to get this accomplished to be able to say, okay, we want better health care. The people spoke, I think it was 69% in favor of that 1% sales tax that passed back in August. So I'm willing sometime in myself now, if this Attorney General's opinion that you all already have, I think it does give you the authority to do it, but I understand you've already made the motion to have Attorney Pruitt to request another one, but we hope it moves expeditiously as possible. How long does the one normally take, Attorney Pruitt?
I think I can get the request in this week. I do not know. We've got a new Attorney General that I've never dealt with, but I would certainly ask them to expedite anything that they do, and I think HA probably would help as well.
Okay. But I would, and Ms. Wilson would be ready whenever you all are able to allow them to ask questions if they have any of us.
We do get an answer to the other one. My question was, I was talking, this is what I'm going to put to you point blank. I had two concerns. My first concern was if we could legally do it. My second concern is, if we give you this money, is it going to be a situation where it's going to really help? Or is it going to be a situation where in 2 months you're going to be back needing another $400,000, if not from us, from another entity? Now, is it a situation when we give you this $400,000 that you're going to be able to operate, and for what length of time do you feel that you're going to be able to operate off of it?
I think I partially answered Ms. Carper that we would still be operating and generating revenue to be able to pay some of these other
So if you get this $400,000, you'll be able to continue to operate for a year?
I believe so. I mean, we've been operating.
We're not talking believe. So do you have anything that you can show?
Can I give you a definite yes thing?
No, let me tell you something that would be good to have.
It's our intention to continue to operate Hill Hospital as long as we have to until we can get this new hospital up and running. That's our intentions right there, to make sure that the handoff of the CON is everything that we talked about in the town hall meetings, or community meetings, and that's what we sold it on, and that's what our intentions are to continue
You know,
to work
I know
with.
that, but this is what we're doing. This is what we're dealing with now, and it's my understanding that it could take anywhere from a little more, even more than 6 months to get this done. So my question is, and I know you're saying what you can do. Do you have anything on paper that say that you can do it? I mean, do you have any cash flows and what it's going to look like? I mean, do you know? I mean, it's kind of like right now. I know we got payroll at the end of the month. I know I'm going to need X amount of dollars. I got X amount of dollars coming in. Do you have anything like that that you can show, that can document that you're going to be able to continue to operate? Because I'm going to assume here, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. If you owe $250,000 to the Internal Revenue Service, you're late on payroll, and you have a situation where you owe your providers. So I'm going to say these are somewhat your priorities. What about utilities, and what about other things? What other amount is sitting out there that you owe?
We are still paying all of our utilities. We're paying our other vendors. These are the two that's vital to continuing to ensure that the hospital does not close. So, yes.
So if I ask for an AP list right now, it would be composed of $486,000 to the providers and the $250,000 that's due for the first and second quarter.
No,
it would be more on there.
It may be more, especially after tomorrow.
Okay, but my question is, when you show me that list, can you show me the revenues and how they're going to fall to pay for those things? Well, we don't want to have a situation where we give you some money and then next week you're closing because you don't have enough money, because you had other bills.
We're not going to close next week. We're not going to close next week.
Well, can you show us something other than conversation?
Well, Ms. Cochran, if I may, and I know that you all try to stick with your the way you do your meetings in the past, but this is unprecedented. I know you hadn't had very many meetings, but I don't remember any other entity being grilled like this after a request from the county commission and your state legislative delegation. I mean, we have provided information to the trustee board, but not one time has a municipality or any other entity receiving funding when the trust fund is distributed money were asked any questions.
Yes, that's just a difference. We had a row of people here.
Yeah.
Not only did when we made that distribution, we gave to every entity that was affected by the decrease in revenues from the waste tax. And when we gave, I think the first time we gave $513,000. The second time we gave $513,000. And the thing about that distribution, we followed the distribution that was outlined in the state law. That's what we did. Now, we had some that come in to say, and we knew what their situation was because there really was a drop. They had been affected by the decrease in the fluctuation in the wage tax. In this particular situation, you were made whole because you were getting money off the top. Your amount did not decrease. The only other thing that's changed is that 1% that was added in 2015. And you're saying, well, they did provide us something. You know, and like I say, we follow. We're not having a situation where we're trying to give everyone something. This is unique because you've been made whole. You got your money off the top, and you're coming in and you're asking for $400,000. We have 2.9 on hand as assets. You're asking from anywhere to 13 to 14% of the money. So we have to consider, we are trustees of the fund, we have to consider all of the other entities that are at the bottom of the list. If we get $15,000 next month, you're going to get your money. The ones at the bottom is going to get, what, $800 or whatever is left over. That's the difference. There is a difference. And I don't think there's anything wrong with this trustee board committee asking to see something other than, oh, this is what's going to happen. I mean, you can show something. I mean, I can go in and show you what we owe. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, right now, I'll be honest with you, and I said this to the board here. I said if they could show me on paper and I can look at something and I could document that they could just make it for 1 year and they could really convince me that they could make it for 1 year, I'd give you $400,000.
We're not trying to make it for 1 year.
Yeah.
We're trying to make it.
Well, if you're telling me what you say. You can't tell me how long you're going to make it, and then you're telling me, you're not showing me anything.
Well, Ms. Cochran, our whole contingency is working with the county-wide health care authorities to survive until we can pass off the CON
The county-wide health care authority has less money than you have because the tax hadn't been levied.
Well,
so, you know, what we're dealing with right now, I mean, we're dealing with You need $400,000. Is it a situation where we're going to give good money and it's going to be gone, or we really going to help? We want to help you. I've been in Sumter all my life. You know, my sister, I thought she was having a heart attack. We went to Hill Hospital. I want you there. And I think all of us can say the thing. I think every person in this room can say the thing. Same thing. We want you to survive, but we want to know that you're going to survive before we just start giving out money. At least give us something to show us. You know, other than your word. I mean, you know.
But all of this is contingent upon us having a certificate of need in order to have a critical access hospital.
So in other words, based on what you're saying and what you can't say, if it takes 6 months in order for the designation to come through, you're going to go under. That's what you just said.
I didn't say that.
Really, that's just what you just said.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, you did.
I said,
you did.
We sold a 1% sales tax to the people. We had it on fast track to make sure that we get that critical access designation letter before the election came. It didn't happen, but we were still confident it would come any day now. And now it goes from any day now to possibly 6 months. I mean, we can't see into the future either, but what we're saying is that we have to have the CON in order to hand it off to the countywide healthcare authority when the time comes. If there is no CON, all of that work is in vain.
So in 3 months, if you come back and you know that need another $400,000, you can't make it. You either go under the trust fund is going to give you $400,000.
Or we will have no hospital. And
but the trust fund, the first, you know, and I know
contingent upon the fact that we're going to transfer the CON to the Sumter County Healthcare Authority, which won't be there.
But I think it goes back again why we need the AG opinion. I think the AG opinion was set up to protect all of the entities. And I think for us to give you $400,000 and consider giving you $400,000 in 3 months, which is $800,000 or whatever to keep you afloat until that bond, until we get the designation, I think that would be fiscal responsibility of this trustee board.
Well, I just don't want us to be sold
but you know, we're not saying we're not willing to give you something, but give us something.
Can I
and you all want to add something? I'm sorry. I'm coming in conversation. I'm sorry.
And, you know, we've always said whatever documents that you need, you're most welcome to them. So that's not a problem.
Yeah.
But I can tell you this, what you're asking me, if you gave me $400,000 today, can I survive tomorrow? That's a hard question to answer, if you're going to, I say 6 months from now. Because again, things change. Federal regulations change. They change how they reimburse us on every avenue, but I can tell you this. I came in 2014 when we was $2.3 million or more in the red. And we're still there. We put processes in place. The staff has sacrificed. We've cut staff. We've cut salaries. I don't even make a salary that I'm supposed to make. 10% comes off of my salary. 10% comes off the manager's salary. We brought detox back in. We go pick the patients up. We take them home. We're doing everything that we can do to make sure that the hospital survives for those people who wakes up at 2 o'clock in the morning with a heart condition, who can't go to Demopolis, who can't go to DCH or Meridian, but we are there. So I can't answer that question. When you get those documents, you're not going to see that because we are paying for stuff years back. And thankfully, we've been able to satisfy most of that stuff. Because we have, as a staff, we've sacrificed personal money, personal time, to make sure that we have, if nothing else, a 24-hour ER. We've done that. And again, we have found favor in the eyes of vendors, in the eyes of doctors, in the eyes of some banks. That's all we're asking for. I can't tell you if we're going to make it. But I can tell you that we've made it this far by the grace of God and by favor from other people. Sumter County has to decide if you want a hospital or not. I can go somewhere else and work. 90% of my staff can go somewhere else and work. But you got people who come to that hospital who wait until 5 o'clock to come because they cannot afford to take a day off work. So the hospital become a clinic, and they don't have anywhere else to go. They don't have insurance, none whatsoever, no means to pay. So we end up providing free services. I understand the dynamics. I understand your place. I understand where you are. All I'm saying is, at the end of the day, we as a community have to decide, do we want health care? While you wait for a new facility, I applaud the county of Sumter County for a new hospital. I was in Butler last week. Beautiful facility. Beautiful facility. We need another facility. Whether it's in York or whether it's in Livingston. But I'm telling you today that we do need some assistance. It's going to have to come from somewhere. And if we allow this hospital to close, waiting on another hospital to be built, it will take you 2 or 3 years to get it built. And you definitely don't want your community not to have access to 24-hour emergency services. Somebody in here could be going to a place, minding your own business. Somebody in the car sick who lives next door to Hill Hospital, but because the hospital closed, had a stroke and ran into you. But the hospital closed.
I hear
So
you.
I want you to understand.
Yeah, I hear you, and I hear you. I understand what you're saying, and like I say, I live here in Livingston. I've lived here all my life. But then again, this trust fund cannot fund Hill Hospital because we were not created to fund Hill Hospital.
I understand.
But now, that AG opinion comes back, and we're willing to consider it. But I would say, in the meantime, I think if you could put something together in terms of cash flow, this is what we're going to get in, this is what it's going to cost, identify the actual cost so we can see exactly what you have. Because, it's like going to the bank. We're not bank, we're trustees, but we're responsible. And I don't know how many other entities are in the audience that receive money. But like I say, you're asking for 14% of the funds that we have on hand. And you're not sure you're going to make it, so we don't know if you're going to be back. You send that money out there, you have to follow it again with something else. And it was not created for that. But I can only speak for myself. If you want to submit something else concerning, and and I know what, they say that AJ and Bobby and Howard said, but right now we're trustees. And that's how I feel about it. So I don't know how to
do if I can communicate with you to get I guess a more descriptive idea of what you...
Do you know how long it's going to take you to do?
No, ma'am. I mean, if you send it to me... No, I don't know. I guess we're waiting on this process as well, so...
I think it would be good if you had your information in, because we can make a decision.
If you send me what you need, if you can...
Well, I think you need to... I mean, I know what you're saying, and I'm not trying to say your word is not your bond, but at least show us something. This is what we owe, and this is how our money is going to flow. Do a cash flow statement, and how you're going to make it throughout.
Because I can see us giving you information on how exactly it's going to be spent.
Mm-hmm.
But as Ms. Wilson has stated, we don't know if we're going to be open in 3 months, in 6 months. We don't know this. We've been closing for 5 years. There have been some that said you wouldn't make it next year, next month, but we're still open. And we plan on remaining open, but we can't stand here and say to you, because it's all the dynamic of the 1% sales tax passing. That's what it's all about. We will have the CON and hand it over to the Sumter County Health Care Authority once the tax is levied and the hospital is built. So all of that is contingent. So it would be relevant for us to come back if we had to say, hey, we need some more money. I'm just laying it up there. But all of this is still contingent upon the critical access hospital. And if we don't have a CON, we sold a bad bill of goods to our citizens.
I think you got to realize that even if that designation was given today, it would take at least 3 months before, I think they'd have to levy the tax. You'd have 2 months there. You'd be 3 and 4 months even before a penny is collected. And when it's collected, it's going to be, $70,000 or $80,000.
Right, but,
So
you know,
even with that, that first month is going to be
as
either
a
that. So
county,
you're
you know, tax
looking,
anticipation
you're
was like,
looking,
I would love
you're
you to put
looking,
some money
you're looking long term or
somebody's
whatever.
expecting $1 million plus, I'd give a loan in the heartbeat.
You know, but again, the trust fund itself would not set up. There's one thing that we can clearly say: it would not set up to fund the hospital. You know, we're not saying that we
The
won't.
trust fund is
We're not
emergency.
saying that we're not. We're
It's
not
for
saying that we
emergency.
want to give it. Debatable. We're not saying that we're not going to give you anything, but we feel that you can provide additional information.
Okay, we'll do that.
You know, we really do feel that. Now that's my thought.
Yes,
I can't speak.
I'm willing to revisit it, you know, after the Attorney General's decision is rendered, and based on, like I said, if you can show us you know, a path forward. You know, I'm willing to revisit because I want to see the hospital, you know, sustained.
We all do. Okay. If there any other person here, we'll go this order. We'll take individuals that want to speak.
We have Ms. Springler on this.
That would like to speak, other individuals that would like to speak on behalf of the hospital, and you would come forward.
Good evening to everyone. First, I would just like to thank you all for your consideration in calling an emergency meeting at the request of the County Commission to hear our cry for some assistance in trying to keep your hospital open until we do get this new hospital. I'm sorry that I was late. I didn't get open until 5, and I got here as soon as I could. And I've heard everything pretty much that Ms. Wilson has said, and I think she's done a wonderful plea on the behalf of the hospital. But our concern is that it's going to be a while before this new hospital get up. And again, we do have to ask ourselves, do we want health care until that happens? Or are we just saying we'll be fine without no emergency care if something happens to us in the wee hours of the night? Because, as the paper said, we're hemorrhaging. We don't know whether we're going to make it. But our goal is trying to sustain the hospital, that we can have some health care here for the people of Sumter County till we can get the brand new hospital facility that we do need. So I'm pleading, if I need to plead, or you can say I'm begging, for expeditious, speedy decisions, because this is an emergency situation. And we need a hospital. And it needs to be open for our people that we serve. I think that as board members, appointed officials, and elected officials, we have an obligation to the people that we serve to try to have them the things that they need. Now, if the citizens of Sumter County, everybody say, well, we don't want a hospital. Well, fine, I can go home and go to sleep. I don't have to have restless nights anymore about needing a hospital, because they say they'll be fine for the next 2 to 3 years without health care. So the only thing I'm asking for from the board is to please give this some serious thought, not that you wouldn't, and some compassion, and put your heart all in it, because our hearts needs to be in this as well. And again, I do thank you for your consideration, and I do hope that you give it some much heartfelt thought, because Hill Hospital is on that hill by the grace of God, and by dedicated and loyal employees and doctors that punch their clock. And they don't get paid, but they do that for us, so that when we come, something is there. So I think we need to do something to show them that we appreciate what they're doing. So if you have some funds that you can use for an emergency situation for our hospital, I ask you with all urgency to please do that. Please consider that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other individuals here to speak on behalf of your hospital? Okay. Any other individuals that want to come and make comments at this time? Okay.
May I submit some information to you?
You can.
Thank you. This is information on debt. It's public information provided from the courthouse. Anybody else would like a copy? There's some over here. Thank you. That also includes information of debt submitted from the hospital, their own debt. Right now, it's totaling, from what we know, a little over $4 million. And if y'all want a copy, it's over here.
Give the attorney a
I got,
copy.
thank y'all for...
Can you give the attorney a copy?
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank y'all for allowing me to speak and for calling this meeting to give the public time for input. If you don't know who I am, I'm Gina Robbins. I'm the mayor of York. I serve on the Sumter County Industrial Board. And most importantly, I'm a citizen of York and Sumter County. Just to give you a little brief history on York, if you're not aware, as Commissioner Armstead stated, York was burdened, and I'm going to use the word burdened. York was burdened, the citizens of York that work hard and need their money to live on, and are some of the poorest people in the United States, were burdened with a bond to keep Hill Hospital going almost 20 years ago. And the reason I'm going to use burden is for this reason. I keep hearing, first off, that this is an emergency. It's an emergency situation. And if you'll just bear with me, I want to give you Webster's Dictionary, their description of an emergency. A sudden, urgent, usually unexpected occurrence requiring immediate action, or a state especially of need for help or relief created by an unexpected event. This is not an unexpected event. This is a continuous need for finances for a failing business that has been being supported these past 20 years by the backs of the people of York. And now we've got a request not only to keep supporting it from the people of York, but to now dip into a trust fund and take money from it and keep this business going. Now, this is an important business because it provides health care for everybody, and we have people working up there, and they need their paycheck. And more importantly, we need health care in Sumter County. I can give you a glimpse into the future. 20 years ago, this bond was indebted to the city. The commission also pays part of it. And at that time, it was not just for operating expenses. It was to pay off debt that had been accumulated as well. So for 20 years, we've had time to get this business straightened out. And what's happened? We've been paying every month for 20 years. Not only is it paid every month for 20 years, but correct me if I'm wrong, after everything's paid, they still have a little surplus that goes to them to operate on. Am I correct about that? I'm not correct? Hey, I think I am correct about that.
Yes.
So for 20 years, we still haven't pulled ourselves up by our bootstraps and kept things going. We're right back where we were asking for more money of some of the poorest people in the country. And I don't think that's right. I don't think that's right. What I can say is this. We do have clear-cut direction from 70% of the people that live in Sumter County. And their direction for the hospital that we just voted on is this. We're going to contribute a 1-cent sales tax, not to the current board, but to a new hospital board for a new hospital. So the faith and trust of the people has been placed into a new hospital board, not the current one that exists. So what we have is money that's been going that still didn't work from 20 years ago, and then extra funding that has been given to the hospital to keep it going. Still not working, and we're back now asking, the hospital board is back now asking for more money, not just from York citizens, but from everybody in the county now. And as you said, from money that we believe has been designated not to go to this, has not been designated for it, but to go to other things. And I think the word trust is very important. I'm not by any means trying to tell you your job, but I do believe it's a circumstance of throwing good money at bad. I don't see it getting any better. And I don't see an end to the continuation of it needing money to keep the hospital going. And I will say this. A comment was made about the emergency room needing to stay open 24 hours, and it has stayed open 24 hours. Has the emergency room at any time closed?
No.
You have not turned
No, ma'am.
patients away at all? You have not turned patients
No,
away?
ma'am.
Ms. Jenny, I can get some records on diversions where we've carried.
I have to.
That doesn't mean that the hospital is closed. Diversion is different.
What I
You
just
have to have
asked, though,
an
is have you had to
official
turn
closure
patients?
from the Alabama
I
Department.
didn't interrupt you when you were talking.
Well, Miss, you asked
And I
me a
did
question.
ask you a yes or no question.
Okay, but I'm-
Have you had to turn patients
ma'am.
away?
What?
You haven't had to turn
No,
patients away
ma'am,
from
we
the
see
hospital?
every
Okay,
patient
then.
that comes through
Okay.
that door,
All right.
whether a doctor is present or not.
All right, I'm not here to argue with you.
I'm
So thank
telling you facts.
And I thank you for your answer.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. The truth is this, the hospital is a business that cannot sustain itself. The citizens of this county have voted rather loudly for what they do place their trust in, and that is a critical care hospital. Now, do they need money to keep going? Yes, they do. And as much as I hate to say it, I do not believe the citizens, the majority of the citizens in this community, trust the current hospital board with any more funding. If I could offer a recommendation for anything, it would be this. It would be the people that the organization of the new county hospital, that 70% of the people do trust, somehow be allowed to assume responsibility for running Hill Hospital and seeing it through the transition stage. Because I believe the people in this county, the 70% that do trust the newly formed county hospital board, would trust this new board transitioning the hospital into the new critical care hospital. Now, I'm not saying that the current board at Hill Hospital has done a terrible job. They have not. But it is beyond their control and their ability. If it were, and they were doing well, and the hospital was doing well the way it's running now, and under current management, we wouldn't be here in this meeting. And I'll tell you who I speak for. I speak for the citizens in York and the people. I speak as the mayor. I was elected. Well, I'll tell you what, in 3 years, they can vote me out if they want to. But that's fine. But money is money. And I know what people tell me. They're tired of it being wasted. So, I propose that somehow it is figured out a way for the current hospital to save it, or to keep it going through transition from the new to the new critical care hospital, that we figure out a way to do that with the new county board hospital. The city of York has that 1 cent sales tax that it has had to pay. If the hospital burns down, and let's pray to God it doesn't, we still have to pay that bond. So it is in the interest of the citizens to keep the hospital going, but it is not going to keep going the way it's going. And you can pump all the money into it that you want to, and it will not keep going. It needs new management. I'm trying to see if there's anything else I've left off my list. I don't think there is.
We're going to respect any person that's up speaking, please.
For the people that work there who don't think I have their interest at heart, if I had to wake up every day and be scared if I was going to get a paycheck, or I didn't have the things that I needed to treat people, especially in a medical facility, and every week there was a headache and there was a problem, and that people in the community did not go there because they were scared, I've been up there and seen the conditions at the hospital. It's terrible. When I was up there at the emergency room, I was cleaning roaches up out of the floor, trying to make coffee for people that were there, no coffee. And I don't want to sound like I'm pointing a finger. I'm being realistic. I am being realistic about the conditions of the hospital. So back to the people that work there. To me, it would be much better to know that there's security and a hospital board that was designed and elected by the people to manage health care in the county than the current one that is managing it now. I do believe that there is an ability there for them to be able to step up and start assuming care, have it transferred over, to use Commissioner Armistead's own words, go ahead and figure out a way for a smooth transition to go over now and allow them to assume care of it. They do have the option of going ahead and initiating the 1 cent sales tax, just to float that in the air. and it would be going to the county board to control, the county hospital board to control what would then become the county hospital, or what would be transitioning into it. So I think that's all I wanted to say. I do thank the board for their work, but things change. God knows I know things changed. I had to close the police department down. We had to let dispatchers go, and you can look at that as a negative, but I couldn't change and cannot change the state of the city. So I figured out a way to make it work so we could have policemen, me and our council members, and we do have policemen. So we may have to change the direction of what we thought might happen with the hospital and how it would transition, but the goal is to keep health care going. And sometimes you have to change your original plan to do so. Thank y'all.
Okay, any other individual that wants to speak? Okay, and I'll ask, if you disagree, if you just keep your thoughts to yourself, or go outside and talk about them, please. Thank you.
Will you get an opportunity, Madam Chairman, to...
Now, we don't want to be here all night trying to rebuttal
Yes,
or
ma'am.
whatever.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
had your opportunity. We'll let the others speak.
I'm Dr. Bobby Williams. People who don't know who I am. My family's been here 8 generations. I plan to be here, hopefully my family another 8. I own William Rush, the largest healthcare company in Sumter County. I'm in the hospice business. This has been a long time coming. And the hospital sat right there and went down. I had an individual who was in hospital business, wanted to purchase a hospital. I went to this city council in Livingston and was told, oh no, nobody's going to purchase this hospital. Livingston is going to become a regional medical center. I had to keep him from laughing until he got out the door. That is not the way healthcare was going. And as far as compassion, I have 650 dying patients today. I think I know a little bit about compassion and how to be compassionate. Dr. Becky and I give $750,000 a year in indigent care. I know about compassion. Now, the problem is, regardless of what anybody does in this county, healthcare is not going the way we want it to go. Our indigent people have never been cared for without some charity. They never will be cared for without some charity. And there will always be indigent people, unfortunately. The good book says that. Those among us who have least will have what we have. It's going to be there. That's unfortunate. We do the best we can. The death knell of this is that hospitals take money. Hospitals are supplied by vendors. Vendors are for-profit entities. A for-profit entity will not sustain over a long period a non-profit entity. It's a matter of dollars and cents, no matter how compassionate you are. I too would like a hospital here. I have 2 stents. I don't have 30 minutes to get to Meridian if one of them occludes. I don't have that time. What we have to make the best use of is what physicians call the golden hour, which is the first hour after an injury or an event, but they call it an event nowadays. So it's not sustainable, Ms. Cockrell, to your point. It is not financially sustainable. It cannot be financially sustainable if we paid off the whole $4 million. They're losing $200,000 a month. It is not financially sustainable. It's not going to be us that kill it. It's not going to be the politicians. And God knows politicians hate me because I say what I want to say. But you cannot sustain this because of business. You cannot sustain this because of how a hospital is run. Drug companies are not going to give you the medicine that you've seen. They're not going to give you the cleaning supplies to clean the floor. They're not going to do this over a sustained period of time. So what we're dealing with here is an economic situation which is going to end itself. Regardless of what you do, we do, I do, this economic situation is going to end itself regardless. And I also, and like Jamie, as far as we need to get on with the knitting if we're going to do something. And it's not going to be in the current form.
Okay, any other individual?
Brown, Mayor of the City of Livingston. Thank the board for allowing us to come and speak to you. And I start out by saying, like some others have said, the job that the hospital board done and the administrators have been phenomenal over the last few years. And I've said it before, they've done it on the wing and a prayer, and to be commended for it. But it comes a point in time to when you're putting good money out to bad. And if, look at these facts and figures at $4.5 million or whatever, and we're not even talking, we don't know how much they owe in back payroll, we don't know how much they owe in back utilities to the power company, to the water company, to other vendors. It may be twice this amount. We don't know. And Tommy, I think that's kind of what Ms. Cochran and this board needs is to kind of know what the big picture is. And if in fact from the information we've gotten that it costs $5 million a year to run the hospital, and it's bringing in about $3 million a year, and it's losing $2 million a year, $2.5 million a year, then that's $200,000 a month is like Bobby said, it's unsustainable, and for a very short period of time, this money is not going to do any good. It's not going to do any discernible good. Now, where do we go from here if it does close? Of course, keeping the hospital open is a priority, but at what cost? Can we afford to keep it open until the new hospital is brought about? I don't think we can. The CON, of course, is a very important part, but the CON, if it goes foul, and we're trying to find out, I think it's a 12-month period that you have, kind of like somebody buy somebody's taxes, land for their taxes. That man can come back and pay that taxes within a year. He can get his land back. And so I think the same thing is with this CON. We can go back within a year's time and claim it. We can get it. But also, even if we have to start that process over, with the mandate that we had, 70% of the people voting for a new hospital, and with the hospitals in rural Alabama closing like they are, I feel assured that the folks in Montgomery would look favorably on issuing a new CON for a new hospital, particularly when you have professional management of Rush Hospital involved in it and the support of the taxpayers in the community. So I think that we have a path forward no matter what happens. But I think we need to, there's got to be some type of reasonable plan put forward to this, because obviously I think in your comments at the beginning, Mr. Lucinda, I think you said that there were three things that they said: either give them the money, or loan them the money, or go toward buying the CON. And you said two of those were gone because you're not in the loaning business, and you're not the board to have anything to do with the CON. So basically, this would be money that you're laying out there with no expectation of ever getting it back. And if it was something that would serve a purpose for a good length of time to do us good, it would be one thing. But I'm afraid it's just going to be too little, too late. All of us here want good quality health care, and I think we've got some things in place to get it. But I'm afraid that putting this type of money in the Hill Hospital is not going to do anybody in the county any justice. Thank you.
I'm going to get you last. Any other?
Madam Chairman, thank you, trustee members. First of all, I want the hospital to stay open. And if it can stay open, we're all better off, and we can graduate to a new hospital. But I think Ms. Cockrell's initial questions about the hospital, about the financial side, the projections, are at the core of what we need to know. Ms. Wilson's answers were very emotional, Ms. Pringle's, but they didn't address the question about pro forma financial statements. And I would like to think I have a simple solution. And that is, if the board is going to consider spending $400,000, $800,000, whatever the number is, why not have the board, the trustees, invest in the cost of having a CPA do pro forma financial statements? That way you've got some financials that have a authentication behind them, and you know they're reliable. And it would be money well spent. I don't know what it would cost. Maybe we'll say $15,000, $20,000, $25,000. But it would be well worth it to know that you're making a good investment in the county. If the pro forma financial statements don't justify or don't indicate that the hospital can stay open, then that's the perfect message that you need to know early in the game and not later. So I would like to think that's a simple solution. Thank you.
My name is Johnny Aycock, and I'm Special Assistant to the President of the University of West Alabama, Dr. Ken Tucker, who regrets he could not be here tonight, sends his greetings to you. On behalf of Dr. Tucker, we have similar concerns that have already been expressed. And I want to build off of Richard's comments. We're the largest employer in Sumter County. We're responsible for almost 2,500 kids that are on campus. It's their families and those kids that we have a responsibility to take care of. So health care is absolutely at the top of our list as a priority. We also would love to see Hill stay open if it's a viable entity. We've got to make sure that health care is here 7 days a week, 24 hours a day to take care of every citizen in this county and every one of these young people who come to this school and put their trust in us to take care of them. So that's another piece of the puzzle. As the number one employer, we also understand our economic development role. If you're in the economic development business, and I have been for over 40 years, there's certain key components. Education is right at the heart of it, but health care is right there at the soul of it. So we absolutely have to have the best quality health care that we possibly can provide. And if Hill Hospital can do that on a sustainable basis, that's wonderful. But we also, as some others have said, we need to begin that transition to the new hospital. And yes, there are a couple of difficult things you have to do. They always end up working with politicians in Washington. It's just part of the game. But I think our team is in the right place, doing the right things to move that ahead. Building off of Richard's point, we at the university have had to face financial challenges ourselves. For the last several years, we've been trying to rebuild the finances of the university. And we've made progress every single year. And by this time next year, I think we're going to really be in a more solid shape than this university has ever been financially. But it took a plan. It took an understanding of our finances. I would be really concerned if you made a decision with not only a financial pro forma going forward, but quite frankly, I would add to that 3 past years of audited financial statements. You need a little bit of history to see the trends and understand where we really are before you make this kind of financial decision. So I would add that to his suggestion. Also, the other thing I would add to his suggestion, which has been mentioned a couple times in different ways, we at the university, and I'm not talking about just the president of the board of trustees, I'm talking about everybody in any role at the university, faculty, staff, whatever. We understand the business plan. We understand the strategies that we each have to adhere to meet our financial goals. You should ask for the same thing of Hill Hospital before you make that decision. A clearly written, documented business plan along with the financial pro forma needs to be part of that decision-making process. And that would be a request that we would suggest from a business point of view, from an economic point of view, because we understand you have to do that. We're doing it now at the university, and it's difficult working with public funds. We understand that. But we really would encourage you strongly to add those elements also before you make a final decision. But we at the university are deeply concerned about loss of health care. We don't want to see health care loss in this county. We want it to thrive. We want it to survive. We want it to keep moving forward. And we definitely want to transition to that new critical access hospital, which can be done if we all work together in a very intelligent, strategic way. We can make it happen. So I don't envy your positions. It's not easy to be a citizen and have to make these kind of difficult decisions. So thank you for that, and thank you for allowing me to make your comments.
Anyone else? We're going to let a Commissioner, I'm going to say they have the last word here.
Thank you,
We're
Madam
adjourned.
Chair. There definitely has to be some coordination. I mean, some strategies, because the things that I heard tonight were very strategic. I have never in my life been part of a plan that I was one of the ones that was in the initial meetings to say that we can't let Hill Hospital close under any circumstances. We would even ask our citizens to pay 1% sales tax to temporarily keep Hill Hospital open. Tonight I heard a coordinated group of messages that went against everything that I put my good name and character out on the line for to help sell this tax. And Hill Hospital is lacking many things, but cleanliness is not one of them. Hill Hospital is one of the cleanest hospitals that you'll ever go to. I've been going there for many years. I've never seen a roach. But that's all I want to say right now, that the initial information that I was involved with, some of the people in this room who said that we cannot, under any circumstances, let Hill Hospital close. We got to keep that sealed in. There's another viable option out there, apparently, and now it's almost like the hell with Hill Hospital. Thank you. Mr. Hall, Mr.
Other than Mary Roberts, she had a solution to a woman named Archie Hall. Everybody called me Shake. I know most of y'all know. But Ms. Roberts said she wanted to transition to the new board with the old board. That's one plan. Other than that plan, they have anybody else have a plan. You know, so what we need to do is, if we really want to keep it open, is Meritor, the people who are prominent citizens, Attorney Crowder, or Attorney Pruitt, we need to get some prominent citizens together and come up with a plan. All of these minds in here, if we really want to keep it open until we transition it. Now, there's a way. Now, I might not know it, you might not know it, but there's a way that we can keep this place open and run it until we get the new hospital. Now, if you don't like the way the funds are being used, or you think they're being allocated for mishandling the funds, you know that hospital might not be profitable, it might be, I don't know. But then we need to get someone together to come up with a solution. Like she said, borrowing the money and giving it to the board that they have now, if there's no trust there. I see that the majority of people here don't trust the board that they have. So that's one thing. But there is a solution, I believe, if we put the minds together, sit down and talk rationally, that we can come up with to keep everything running until we transition. Do you agree, Mr.
I do.
And that's
now, can I just say this? I'm an accountant at heart.
Okay.
So for me, when I look at a situation like this, it's hard to do, but I don't want to look at the emotional side only to make a decision. You've got to look at the numbers, and you got to look at short term versus long term.
Right.
And I agree, we need a plan. If I can help in any way, I'll be glad to do it. But I promise you, if I got anything to do with it, it'll involve financial statements that are reliable.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
You know, the numbers are not there right now. But what I'm saying is, you know, you take $400,000. That's, I mean, a lot of people say that's a lot of money, but that ain't a lot of money to
to a man that got money. You know, but it's a lot. You know, I always talk about you as being one of the richest people in the country. You know, it's a lot of money if it's somebody else's money. You know, and you using somebody else's money, which Ms. Cocker is over somebody else's money, because it's not her money. But if you take, just for instance, I'm just using it for an example, Mr. Tucker, me and Mr. Tucker are friends for together, and we agree on some things don't, but we still friends. You take, if you get 200 prominent citizens, just like this guy did, J.J. Watt, down there in Houston, and he started out wanting to raise 200,000 to raise 32 million. If you get the prominent citizens here to say each citizen gave, just say $1,000, which is nothing, to run that until we make that transition. If the people believe in what you said, if they believe in you, they will give it like that. So that's what we need to do. We need to sit down and get somebody that we believe in to help Tom and them make that transition. And I believe that we could do that if we could get together and sit down in a little meeting like we have now. You know, you wouldn't even need to borrow that. You know, since it looked like you're not going to be able to borrow that money. Because she said borrowing is out. And I don't know what the other one was.
He's going to pursue an AG opinion. But even with that, we're going to go back needing some type of financials to actually see if we just throwing good money after bad. And then some of the other issues that have been addressed here related to the healthcare authority, that's beyond the scope of this particular board. I think what happened is we just happened to be the individual with some money. You know, that's how we got into some of it. Yeah.
So that's my opinion. That, you know, that out of this meeting right here, if me and Pat, we get along pretty good. Sit down and talk to Mr. Todd and the board. Maybe we can come up with a solution to keep everything running. Because it's bleeding, and they don't stop. So the Band-Aid will hold it till we can get somewhere else. Let me know when you want me.
You want to have the last word? Come on.
I want to say again, thank you all so much for hearing us. I do want to just say that everybody who has asked us for financial data, we provided that data.
Excuse me, I have to interject.
No, except my personal taxes that you asked for.
You sent me quote-unquote financial statements. I can assure you they were nothing close to generally accepted accounting.
That's what I sent you. What we have. I was going to finish that.
Okay, well, I'll allow you to finish.
Let me finish. We send you what we have and what has been gathered by the financial staff that we have available to us. Now,
you sent that to, I mean, you...
Oh, we've sent it several times.
You sent it to, I mean, you're not, wait a minute. You're addressing what you've sent to, I'm assuming, the city of York.
Oh, I've sent information to you. I've sent some information. What I'm trying to say is we are not against sending what we have that is available to us. And it may not be what you actually want.
Well, it's not what I want. It's not useful.
And it may not be useful. But we are still open to the fact that if you have someone who has the credentials necessary to help with a pro forma, a business plan or strategic plan, we've done one. But it may not be useful. If it's not, we're open to someone helping us get it to the level where you want it.
So
and I want you, go ahead.
Would you be opposed, and I don't know if the trustees could do this, but if they were to advance the cost for an audit and pro formas, would the hospital board and you as the administrator be in favor of that?
Well, I guess that's a decision we would have to discuss. I wouldn't be against it. Let me tell you that. I wouldn't be against it. Because I want you to understand, we haven't taken anything.
Well, I understand.
But I want you to understand that we have not.
Let me interject something here. You're talking about something that you've sent to the city of York, which is not within our scope to be concerned with.
I'm just addressing the fact that everybody is making.
Yeah, but you have not sent any. You didn't send anything to us.
No, I haven't.
Okay.
For this particular thing.
Right. So, but that's between you and the city of York and what you sent him, and not this. So you all can take that outside too.
Okay.
Any other? Okay, Herman, you got one good one.
I have. The suggestion was made that the current Sumter County Healthcare Authority take over, assume management of the hospital.
Mhm.
And if they did that, then the 1 cent tax, some of those funds might could be available. Now, if the new hospital board outside.
That's outside this board's scope.
But what I'm asking, though, what someone here might know, or you might, are they, is it being suggested that the new hospital board also assume the fiscal, the financial responsibility?
That's something that's outside of this board's scope. If someone made that statement, you need to ask them what they assume, because that has nothing to do with this particular board.
What would it cost the county if the hospital closes? Let's say the hospital closes next month. If it closes in
The
October.
most, if I'm not mistaken, the most the county would be out of would be $50,000 a year.
What about ambulance service and emergency care services? Who would take responsibility for?
I mean, the county's already paying that.
But the county has a contract with the ambulance.
Right, right.
Wouldn't that change if the ambulance service no longer had a local hospital to deliver to?
No, I think most of the time they're going outside the county anyway, if I'm not mistaken.
So you're saying that?
Right. So I think that would be that issue.
You're saying that it
One more good one, huh?
would not change. And just to reiterate, you can't answer the question of whether the new Sumter County, because the commission appointed that.
Right. That would be. That would be a health authority board meeting. That's really is still in the organizational stage, and we're short a member.
Have they met?
They met for one issue, but it's still an organizational stage. Nothing the decision was made in.
So you can't comment on whether it looks like the critical access.
I cannot comment on that. I'm a member of the board, but I cannot comment on that. And I really and truly, no member of the board can, because it would be a situation where the body would have to make the decision.
Well, then the suggestion that they do it, I mean, where is that coming from? There were a couple of people that suggested that the new
You'd have
board
to ask
take over the
them.
hospital.
You'd have to ask them. It didn't come from this board. You'd have to ask them. Like I say, that's beyond our scope.
We just want to. Is there anyone then on that board that would give, that have given or could give the? You said you were a member of the board.
I'm a member of the board, but I'm a member of the board, but the body has not. That's a question that the body itself would need to address, not a board member.
So you have no idea where they would get that from, the idea that they could or would take
It was
over.
not a board member that made the suggestion. You'd have to talk to the person that made the suggestion here tonight, where they got it from. I think I'm the only board member present, and I didn't make it. So you'd have to talk to that body. And it could be a situation where a person has an idea and they're just expressing it.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, we thank you all for coming. We will... Can you call me tomorrow? Okay, and you don't want to recess if you want to adjourn? Okay, you make a motion.
I move that we adjourn.
Okay. Second that we adjourn.